So, you want to learn how to manage the look of your document by using tabs and indents. Let's take a look at the first instruction here for this worksheet. We're going to look at a hanging indent. These are our indents. If I put my mouse over the top one, I can see it's called a first line indent. The triangle below it, hanging indent. And this square allows me to move both at the same time. Even if they were offset a little, let's put a hanging indent on this. There, now I have a hanging indent. That is that the first line is hanging over the text on the bottom. I can move both indents together. The second paragraph, it asks for a first line indent. We can affect that paragraph by simply putting our insertion point in there, or if we wanted to affect several paragraphs, we just select them and adjust our indent. Since we only want to work on one paragraph now, I'll grab the first line indent control and drag it in 1/2 inch, and now it is set. It's also good to know that any of these settings, whether it's tabs or indents, if I end a paragraph and I continue by pressing enter to create a new paragraph, I inherit the setting of the previous paragraph. Let's move on. Down below here we want to do a couple of tabs. In this line we're going to set a tab, a left tab at 4 inches. So let's go up here to our tab control, and we can see that it's right tab. If I click that tab icon once, twice, all the way around, I can get to a left tab. Left tab is actually the default tab when you first open Windows, so it should be easy to use. It's the most often used tab. In this case, I want to set a left tab at 4 inches. I'll go to 4 inches, I'll click the ruler once, and I've placed a left tab. If I happen to get it wrong, I can move it, which is handy. So now I've moved my left tab just by clicking on it and dragging it. But if I placed more than one tab and I need to get rid of it, I can just grab it and pull it down. In this next section, we're going to look at tabs and setting tabs. It's probably important to know that these little gray lines underneath the ruler, these little hash marks, are every 1/2 inch, and they indicate where the natural tab stops are now. So if I were to press tab, it would jump out to every one of those places. If I needed to set a 4-inch tab, I could press 8 times and get tab and put text here. But if I did that throughout my document and then discovered later that I needed to set this tab at 3 inches or 5 inches, I'd have to go back and either add or subtract tab characters. There's got to be an easier way, and there is. And that is to set a tab stop. As with the first line indent and hanging indent, if I put my insertion point in the paragraph that I want to change, I can set a tab, in this case a left tab at 4 inches. The tabs are located in this upper left hand corner, and I can see by putting my mouse over this icon that this is a left tab. All I have to do is click on the ruler at 4 inches and I now have a left tab. If I had accidentally clicked in the wrong place or made a couple tabs, I can click on any one of those extra tabs, drag them down, and it removes them from the line. If I need to change this, I just grab it, clicking on it and dragging it with a regular mouse button, and that will adjust it. Let's go to the next one, which is the right tab. The next line, to get a right tab, I would simply cycle through these tabs till I see a right tab. Is that one? Yes. And I would put that at 4 inches. Well, let's look at the difference between a right and a left tab. A left tab, as before, implies that the tab is to the left of the text that's going to be inserted or entered. And a right tab is the opposite. The text will go to the left of the right tab. In this next section, we're going to be working with right tabs and decimal tabs. To change the tabs in all of these lines or all these paragraphs, I would select them all. My favorite way is to click in the margin and drag down. I could also click the top line, hold the shift key, while holding the shift key, click the bottom line. That works as well. Let's choose our tabs. It looks like I need a right tab at 3 inches. Is this still a right tab? It is. So I'll click at 3 inches. And I need a decimal tab. So I'll cycle through till decimal tab. That looks like a decimal tab. And that at 4 inches. So now I have a right tab at 3 and a decimal at 4. And I can tell the decimal tab because all of my decimals are lined up. I think I want to change the look of this. I'm going to actually shift the text over so it's just in front of the longest value. I can do that by grabbing the tab at 3 inches, dragging it over, leaving just enough space at the front so that it looks natural and it looks close, so all my labels are closer. Finally, we get to work with the leader. A leader is a dotted line or dashed line or a solid line that joins text on the right to text on the left. It actually fills in the space. We could create a leader by pressing the period and holding it down, but the same constraints are true. We would have to make changes manually, one leader at a time. So to keep from doing that, having to do that, we'll just set a tab to control that. Looks like we're going to create a number 2 style leader using a right tab at 6 inches. Well, I've selected the text, but there's no leader icon on the screen. We need to find it in the tab dialog box. To find that, we'll click on the paragraph dialog box, and in the lower left hand corner we can click on tabs. There's a faster way to get to this dialog box by double clicking right on the ruler, and that opens the tab dialog box. So I did it at 6 inches, so I have 6 inches, but my tab happened to have been a decimal tab. I need to change this to a right tab. I can also set the leader. Another distinction or something that's important to know is all these changes won't take effect until I click Set. Then click OK. Let's take a look and see. Looks like I have a 6 inch tab or tab set with a number 2 leader. And as before, any subsequent paragraphs inherit the settings of this tab. So if I have new text and I press tab, I inherit my leader. Well, that's all for tabs for now.